Oh, hey baby. Good day at work? I'm glad. Yeah, no, sit. I'm just looking up some pics of my old high school and talking to some of my family back in the Philippines. Yeah, I guess I do miss them. It's been, yikes, like 15 years? Yeah, I guess I don't talk about it too much, do I? I don't know, I just figured you wouldn't be interested in it. Why? I don't know, because you've never asked about it, and it's just... I don't know. You want to know about it? Nah, baby, come on. You don't want to hear about this. It's... Okay, really? Well, if it'll make you happy, then, how can I say no? Well, let's see. So I went to the Philippines a few times when I was a little itty-bitty kid, but I don't really remember much. Vague memories of playing in the video game arcades. And by video game arcades, I literally, it's like literally a room with a bunch of TVs and Nintendos or Famicoms they had there. They're all set up, and you pay for time, basically. You sit and play one of the games from their selection. They have like a wall with all these games on it. Oh, also I remember we went to the beach at one point and had spaghetti there, because what better beach food than spaghetti, right? Anyway, so I was a little spoiled brat, and I demanded grated cheese, because I loved grated cheese, Parmesan cheese on my spaghetti, and they didn't have that, and I was all whining and whatnot. So my uncle goes and gets a block of, like, cheddar from the specialty store, and just goes at it with a pocket knife to make these little chunky bits on my spaghetti. I was stoked. Right. I mean, as you know, Filipino spaghetti is like really weird anyway, right? It's like kind of sweeter with sliced hot dogs for meat. Oh, whatever, you love it. Okay, so high school life there was when I went there for high school, it was like for 3 years, right? And I didn't know that at the time. We initially just went for the summer because my mom and dad got in a big fight, and yeah, I thought it was just going to be for the summer, because my mom needed a vacation, and then next thing you know, she's asking me to stay for a school year, and I'm being enrolled in this high school. And then after that, it's like one more year, because she doesn't want to go back to America just yet. And I'm like, okay. And after that, it's like I might as well finish high school, because I started off as a sophomore, and, well, I guess because of grade transfers and whatnot, and I guess I did well in the placement test or something, so I started off as a sophomore as opposed to a freshman. Or they called it goes by year there, right? So I started off as second year as opposed to first year. Yeah, it's first, second, third, and fourth year, and then you graduate, go to college and whatnot. I don't know, it's weird. But yeah, like in terms of like culture, it was really eye-opening, There was a huge difference. I mean, the Philippines is a third world country still. Everything there is so dirty, kind of run down, almost post-apocalyptic in certain places, you know what I mean? And it's like people just throw trash wherever. The rivers are filthy and smog, and like all these like cars are just pumping out like smoke into the air, like exhaust and whatnot, and then like traffic is like crazy because nobody listens to traffic, right? Like everybody just drives wherever they want to drive, and it's kind of bananas. But yeah, I learned a lot too. I was missing America, and definitely kind of spiteful. I didn't want to stay there more than summer. I had friends back home. I wanted to go to high school with them. I was really excited about it, and then suddenly I'm going to high school in a completely different place, and I wasn't expecting any of it, really. It was kind of a big culture shock for me. I remember my first day. I guess all of my classmates were expecting some blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid to come strolling in, and when they saw me, they were a little disappointed. They're just like, oh, it's just another Filipino guy. But, I eventually made some friends, this group of nerds. We called ourselves PP. P3. The Filipino pie of the Philippines. It's a stupid, like, play on, American Pie, which we all saw together. It was, like, coming out right around then. And, yeah, I don't know, they were so really cool. It was kind of like, we were just kind of wholesome dudes, honestly. Like, we just, like, get together after school at the PC arcade which is basically the same thing as the video arcade but with PCs. We'd play like StarCraft and Half-Life Deathmatch. I'd like stomp them with my Zerg, but you know, yeah, it was fun. We'd sit around like classes, like, you know, dead periods and whatnot, when like our teachers weren't there or whatever, and we just like, somebody would bust out a guitar and we'd start playing and everybody sing along. We'd go to the mall, and like the malls there are huge, right? And they're super convenient. Like you go to the mall, it's got the grocery store there, it's got a movie theater, like the bigger ones even had like I'm talking like bigger, like 5-story malls, and they had like ice skating rinks and whatnot, and like a whole floor was just arcade and stuff, or like, you know, toys and kids stuff. It was crazy. The malls there are definitely right, you know, it was pretty cool. But yeah, we just go to these places and hang out, and it was really cool and really wholesome. You know, like here, a lot of my friends were getting the drugs, fucking around with like garage bands, and getting pregnant and all this crazy stuff. But out there, life was just really wholesome. Like, for instance, guys don't even really date girls in high school. They kind of just, I don't know, they wouldn't even really hang out with each other, to be honest. Like, there'd be the guys hanging on one side of the room and the girls hanging on the other during breaks and whatnot. And, if you did want to date a girl, you'd have to court her. And the way courtship works is you ask her permission formally to see if you can court her. And if she's down, then basically you start doing romantic, sweet things for her and getting her gifts and opening doors for her and taking her out on dates and stuff. And it's all really, really old world, really, really romantic, really, really sweet. And, yeah, I mean, you don't even really start dating till college, to be honest. But, you know, some guys tried for it, and it would all be like a bunch of giggly things and giggly girls, and guys are all like, you know, it's like it was like Grease, right? Anyway, yeah, I remember, yeah, we went to church a lot out there. My mom got into this whole, born again Christianity thing and pulled me into it, and that was pretty cool. You know, I wasn't really as sarcastic and atheistic as I am now, but even then I didn't really like things like church praise and stuff. I always really liked the message. Actually, I remember I met this girl at church, and it was really cool, and we were getting along well, and she's like, you should come over to my house after church. And I'm all like, okay, sure. And you know, me, spoiled American kid, I just assumed that she had like a kind of biggish house like we did. And we go to her house, and it's like in the slums, yo. It's like tin roof, kind of shack made out of tin sheets, maybe some like particle board walls. Like, we just like sat on the ground, you know, like the ground that they built their shack around, and we just like watched this tiny little TV and hung out. I remember, you know, it was really nice, and she didn't seem like awkward or like embarrassed or anything, but I felt super spoiled and guilty the whole time. And but she seemed like, you know, she and her family seemed to love life, and she's a really sweet gal, and everything was great. But yeah, it was crazy experiencing that, like, you know, really appreciating what we have out here. Her name? Okay, her name was pretty ridiculous. But Filipino names are okay. So her name was Princess. Yeah. No, there's a lot of Filipino weird names. I know. I was like out there, like I went to school with a Precious. I think my mom said she went to school with like twins named, I'm not kidding, Hydrogen and Oxygen. I don't know. They just like American words. You know what I mean? I have no idea. But yeah, Princess was very nice. You're very nice too, Princess. Yeah, so yeah, we did kind of have a big house actually. We were pretty, I mean, I don't want to say rich, but I guess in comparison to slums and whatnot, then yeah, we were pretty rich. We had like a 2-story house. In the back was like a little smaller house, kind of built into the house, where the maid stayed. Oh yeah, maids is a very big thing. Like, even like medium income families had maids. Like, having maids and servants and whatnot is like a very constant thing there. It's not like they're indentured or like slaves or anything. You know, they get paid and they have like a union and like benefits and whatnot. But yeah, they just kind of chill in the back of the house. You know, they kind of make food, and then we eat, and then afterwards they eat. kind of sometimes they have their own like dining room back there, and they have their own like little life. Yeah, it was weird. At first I was really, I was like Martin Luther King trying to break out the slaves and whatnot, but then I kind of just realized that's just kind of how culture is out there. Yeah, so that was in the city. It was in Quezon City, which is basically part of Manila, the bigger metropolis type area of the main island group. We had a country house too, and it was, they called it the province, and we had a pretty biggish house out there too. And I remember it was always like hot, and there's not as many amenities, right, because it's out in the country, so you're kind of just chilling a lot, catching up with the family, going through like photo albums, kind of, really like no video games and no internet really. But it was fun. Yeah, I mean, there's electric fans everywhere, like constantly. I remember I kind of got used to the sound of an electric fan, and to this day, like I find it hard to fall asleep without it. No, that's my mom's side. So out here is my dad's side, and it's like more like an Americanized Filipino family. Yeah, I mean, you've been to a couple of them, of course. You see the huge, big family gatherings, house full of like 20 plus people. Every time somebody comes in, everybody's like, hey, we all stop what we're doing, we go hug each other. And yeah, no, I love it. It's the most precious thing to me, to be honest. Like, the biggest thing in my life is my family, and I love it so much. But yeah, I mean, other than the food and then like some little things here and there, I guess we're not really Filipino per se, like they play mahjong. They all talk in Filipino, of course, and we have like kind of like Filipino accent jokes and whatnot. We're very loving. We do a lot of prayer, obviously. I grew up Catholic. It's really big religion out there, and we pray before food and before like big events and whatnot. I don't know. It's just kind of our thing. Yeah, and there's the wedding stuff. Like if ever you and I were to get married. When we get married, there'll probably be like some Filipino things. I can't really think of any right now. There's the money train, money dance is what it's called. Yeah, I know, it's totally weird. So basically you take a bunch of bills, you either pin them or staple them together, and then you kind of pin them to either the bride or the groom's clothes, like my tuxedo or your like dress, and you dance with them. And it's kind of like some time to like get to say thanks for inviting them and thanks for coming out, and you kind of get to talk individually to each person, and they kind of give a little donation to your new life together. Yeah, you end up like looking ridiculous with like a money crown and like money boobs and stuff. I don't know, it's weird, but it's great. I remember the last time we got together, I was visiting my Papa Lolo, which is my grandpa. We called him Papa Lolo, which is weird because it means Papa Grandpa, but basically that's what we just called him. I guess it was the previous generation's way of starting to get us used to speaking Filipino, Tagalog. And I remember when we visit him, every time we visit him, we do this super long prayer. Like my grandma goes through the whole rosary, and everybody's just quiet. And it takes like 20-30 minutes, but everyone's just really quiet and really solemn. And then afterwards, it's just like a huddle. Like everybody just suddenly breaks, like they know exactly when it's done. And like, everybody kind of says, hi, Papa. They kind of say their words. Then we all like kind of discuss where we're going next. We usually go eat, and then we all hang out and stuff. And yeah, no, I love visiting my Papa. Sometimes when I have time, I'll go over there and I'll just kind of park and just sit next to him and just kind of talk. Yeah, it's a little silly, I guess. Just kind of talking to a grave, but it really calms me, Yeah, I went to visit him when you and I started dating. He approved of you, don't worry. You think you'd be here if he didn't? Me? Like how has Filipino culture affected me? I guess living out there and going to Filipino high schools made me a little more innocent, right? Like, I came back and all my friends were all drugged out and coked out and bombed out, and I was still pretty innocent. I hadn't even kissed a girl or anything. I haven't been on a date. Well, I guess I went on some dates, but they didn't really seem like dates, it gives me like, a sense of like Filipino pride, I suppose, and like that sense of uniqueness. Kind of like, and I'll be honest, like if I go somewhere and I see a Filipino, I'll instantly feel like, okay, cool, that person's trustworthy, that person's cool, that person's probably not horrible. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And yeah, of course, we have the Pani accent. Where they can't see anything right. I swear it's ridiculous. Like I can't, like there's no possible way that people find Filipino people like attractive, because our voice, like the accent is just so, it's like the comic relief of the world, It's like they can't say V, it all comes out as a B. So, I had the very funny time with you. They'll say words wrong, like when they say they want to have a very fun time with you, they say they have a very funny time with you. And of course they can't do F's, the F's come out as P's and whatnot. Yeah. No, I mean, of course there's romantic words, I just don't think they sound very romantic. You want to hear some? Okay, Mahal kita. Is that good? Try it again. Mahal kita. Oh, you like it, huh? It means I love you. Of course I love you, baby. Alright, let's try something else. Ikaw lang sa puso ko. I don't think I said that right. Ikaw lamang nasa puso ko. Good? Baby, you're shivering. Yeah, it means, you're the only one in my heart. One last one? Okay, one last one. A long one. This is, one of my favorite song lyrics. I hope I get this right. Ikaw na nga ang hinahanap-hanap ng puso't damdamin. Means, it's you. It's always been you. The one that I've been searching for with all of my heart and all of my feelings. Yeah. Oh yeah? Well, come here. Kiss me. Maybe we'll, maybe I can say some Filipino to you tonight. Oh, we're not waiting for tonight, are we? Well then,